Hello! So, as the new year edges closer, this time right now, it represents your sort of final days and hours to point, aim, and fire your resolutions into the new year. Your vision board is ready, you've dusted off your goal writing materials, your calendar is out, and you're pondering all the great and wonderful things that you're going to accomplish next year, aren't you? This represents a wonderful opportunity, a time to craft, create, and forge the year that you want for yourself. The end of one year and the beginning of the next is an incredibly fertile period of time. We get to let go and shake off the year that has gone by, and we get to turn a new leaf. We all want to begin, each new year with the best intentions and ditching our old unwanted habits, replacing them with good new ones, for example. We want to achieve goals, we want to be productive, we want to live a rewarding and fulfilling life and have fun and enjoy our existence and realize more of our potential once and for all. Well, you know what's coming next, don't you? I mean, most resolutions end up as disappointment, as millions fail in the bid to achieve what they initially wanted to. A new beginning, a better me, ends up being the same old tune sung every year. It's a little bit like when we sing Auld Lang Syne at midnight here in the UK. The first verse at full throttle, then we sort of mutter the first few seconds of the next verses. We don't really know the words, and it sort of whimpers out as we start looking for someone to kiss instead and say, hurrah, Happy New Year with. But resolutions are the same. We sort of strap on our shiny new gym kit for the first week of January, pumping iron every day for an entire week. Then visit again once in February before our new regime whimpers out altogether, just like our Auld Lang Syne. Now, according to psychologist Richard Wiseman from the University of Bristol, 88% of all New Year's resolutions fail. That's an estimated 156 million failed resolutions and downhearted minds each and every year. And what a shame. All those dreams, all those desires, all those hopes. So what are the reasons that you're likely to fail to keep your New Year resolutions? That's what this video is about today, primarily. Firstly, the passion's often missing. In The Secret to Success, Eric Thomas says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And, every success begins with a decision, and the level of success following that decision will often depend upon your conviction to achieve that goal. When you say that you want to do something, but you don't feel it in your gut or deep down in your bones, then it's likely that you are setting yourself up for failure. To succeed, you need to want something, a great deal. You want to want it so much that you're willing to do almost anything to achieve it. When you truly want the outcome, that desire fuels your actions. So don't set resolutions because you think you should do certain things. Do them because you truly want them and because they make your heart sing. Second of all, it may be that your resolutions are vague. BJ Fogg from Stanford University says, what a mistake. The whole idea around New Year's resolutions. People aren't picking specific behaviors, they're picking abstractions. If your goal is vague or too complex in some way, too complicated, then you probably aren't heading in the right direction. Goals like find a new job or make more money typically don't inspire you to take the specific actions at the right times and get you moving and mobilized. Think about the steps you actually need to make more money and set a resolution to start doing more of that. So get specific, make the goal truly clear. Think of it as a well-formed outcome. Ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish? How will I know if I've achieved that? How can I measure my progress towards this resolution? What are my reasons for this resolution? So know the resolution and be precise about it. Vagueness and too much generalizing is going to render that resolution impotent. Also, you may have too many resolutions, so many life goals, so little time. Let's be honest, with some lists, you don't even know where to start. It's okay to start with a big list, but after you're done writing down everything, you can start to prioritize based upon the level of importance of those goals, and then cut that list in half, prioritize again, and narrow the list down to 3 or less. So for example, pick your top 3 major goals that you think will truly transform your life this year, or that will result in the most happiness and satisfaction. Without all those other goals in the way, it's so much easier to focus all your efforts on the most important ones. Stanford's Professor Shiv explains that sticking to more than one New Year's resolution is almost impossible for your brain to handle. Instead, you want to analyze the things that you've thought about to change and pick the one thing that's most important to you. You can then start to intelligently plan and work towards it. It may be that you lack accountability. Research shows that being accountable for your actions will increase the chances of success for your resolutions. Some research suggests that you don't need to hold yourself accountable too publicly, just to those that are closest to you. That's usually enough, and it won't put too much additional stress upon you. In addition, there is a striking correlation between increased social support and lowered blood pressure, heart rate, cortisol levels, the stress hormone. When you hold yourself accountable to loved ones, they can start to form part of a healthy support network that can aid your progress. It becomes far easier to succeed if you are supported by people around you. People with fitness goals seek out expert advice on how to drop their weight or get in shape. So why wouldn't you do the same with your life goals, for example? It may be that you lack discipline. I'm sorry to say, discipline is being able to do what you need to do when you need to do it, whether you like it or not. How you show up for your life each day. For example, if you want to reduce your weight, you need to be active or stick to a regular healthy eating regimen of some kind. Typically, you want to plan for problems arising with your motivation. Plan now for issues that you may face in a month or 2 months' time. Do you usually become less motivated about your resolutions after the first month? Think about what will drive you more in a month's time, and then plan accordingly to deal with that. It's good to be able to measure progress, as that's going to keep the fire burning. Or you might choose to reward yourself along the way. Or you might ask someone else to reward you, a member of your support network, for example. It may be that you get caught up in negativity, that your resolutions fail. We can have a downward spiral into negativity if we have a bad day sometimes and decide to just throw it all away, focusing on only that day and not recognizing or realizing the rest of the progress that was made up until then. You don't want to go discounting the positives of previous weeks just because you had a bad day. You want to flavor everything accordingly. You might even choose to allow yourself a bad day and be okay with that. As well as ourselves, there may well be negative people out there trying to bring you down too. If you get caught up in negativity and start to worry about your own ability or staying power, then those negative thoughts may well weigh heavy upon you. Instead, as much as you are able, dwell on positive feelings and emotions that you've created within you that are related to your goals and your resolutions. You see, your aim is to recall the passion for the goal and use it to override the negativity. Think of the reason, have the passion behind it, and then go hard at achieving it. It's not always going to be easy, but it is so rewarding once you get there. You might consider using an app on your phone that has lists on it, or you can write them up. Your reasons for the goals, your reasons for the resolutions, on flashcards or in a book, and keep them handy, in your wallet, for example, as well as having some motivational quotes at the ready to help you if you need to dip in at certain times, and have a pep talk prepared and at the ready that you can give yourselves at times of need. The same sort of thing that you'd say or deliver to a loved one who needed a boost. It may be that you haven't got a vision. Steve Jobs once said, if you're working on something that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. You may have a vague recollection of your resolution, but it's not firmly installed in your imagination. It could be that you didn't pay attention in the first place. It could be that you don't have a compelling notion created regarding that resolution. You want to bring it to life using your imagination. You have one of the most advanced and sophisticated organisms on the planet lodged inside your head. And this is the time to truly start to apply its abilities, use its strength. Think of your outcomes, bring them to life, make them vivid with colour, with great soundtracks, and add feelings that will accompany it all. And then you want to kind of revisit that imagined symbolic representation of your resolution as often as possible, daily if possible. If you struggle with this, do consider creating a vision board or a dream board, for example, that has lots of visual stimulus that reminds you of your resolutions and makes you feel inspired when you see them. And include vivid imagery and quotes and goals and people and places, and really go to town with it. Your imagination, creating a vivid vision of your resolutions, is going to make them much more easier to achieve. You maybe get the too busy syndrome. I refer to too busy as it's not really important enough. It's a lame excuse. Some people end up believing that they don't have time to go out and do what they want to be able to do. People can easily overcommit themselves, work multiple jobs, and they have families, as well as a great many other responsibilities. It's easy to add more to life, but it's much more difficult to take stuff out. Do subtract more from your life and focus on the most important stuff. Plan out your day the night before. Reduce the times that you look at emails and social media. Cut down on meeting times, get rid of distractions and save time. I think you'll be surprised by how much time you really have. And once you come to that realization, you want to work on your goals in ways that then in turn will bring the kind of joy and satisfaction which you had when you set them. So it may be that the resolutions are too challenging and they end up being too hard, and you've gone through the initial steps and you've realized that it's going to take much more energy and effort. And at this point, perhaps sometimes people start to lose the direction of what you should be doing as things start to perhaps even get overwhelming, and people slowly give up. So create a plan, map it out. And map out the possibilities and the actions that are needed in order to get there. And the thing is, with those resolutions and with those goals, they need to be demanding and challenging in order for them to be rewarding at all, and in order for you to derive satisfaction and in order for you to create some development as a result of them. However, if they're too demanding, they'll simply leave you dissatisfied and feeling incapable. And so you want to consider that when you're setting those resolutions for the year ahead, that you consider the degree of challenge for each resolution and make sure that it feels attainable. And failing that, you work towards stages of a goal whereby you get to stages that you can attain before you progress further. And I think the final additional reason that I think people fail with those resolutions is that they tend to go it alone. They're trying to do everything on their own, which is tough. there's always going to be people out there that will help you with all of your resolutions. And I think it's really important to consider investing in yourself by enlisting the help and support of others too. Hard work is made easier, commitment flows, perseverance is more manageable, accountability is inherent, and you get motivated, you get inspired, you get guidance, and you get to become exponentially more than the sum of your parts, of course. So these are the reasons why often they fail. How about we make that the best year ever, which I recognise is a grand statement. Albert Einstein said, we have to do the best that we are capable of. This is our sacred human responsibility. His words. So you're going to examine your resolutions. Now let's look at how to fine tune them to make, to roll onto an awesome new year. And initially you start with what do you want? And it can be difficult to identify what you really want because it's often wrapped up in what you feel you should do, what you need to do and what's expected of you. So for example, an annual goal that lots of people have to reduce their weight or to get fit. It's the reason that the gyms and slimming clubs, for example, are packed in January and empty or emptier come March. You want to ponder both your short and the long-term goal and what it is that drives you. Experimental studies show evidence that setting goals will increase your success rate in various settings. And so, do have an examination of the kind of principles of effective goal setting with regards to those things. Because I think there are certain principles in there that are relevant to a wide range of aspects in life. But there are numerous ways to set these goals and these resolutions. You want to have a look at where things currently stand in your life. Everyone has a range of priorities and areas of importance in their lives, which include things such as their business or work or education or family life and relationships, finances, health, and much more besides. Write your own set of these kind of areas down as a list, and beginning with the one that means the most to you, put them in some sort of order of priority. Then give each a score in terms of how satisfied you are with it, with 1 being extremely dissatisfied and 5 being extremely satisfied, for example. So if you're happy with your health, but you'd like to improve it, you probably want to give it a 3, for example. And, you want to do some soul searching. You want to come up with the true north of your life that's going to give you direction each and every single day. And ultimately, we want that to culminate collectively in progress, So see where you're at and get a sense of what it is that you truly want. Then the next step is that you want to think, what is the dream? Like I mentioned earlier, having this vision. Once you've identified what you truly want, you then get to focus in on the dream a little bit, that famous question that if you had a magic wand, what does the absolute dream look like? How does it look to have your best year ever? Or 10 years from now, what do you want it to be like, your life? What do you want people to remember you for? And what does that success look like? And I think if you replied with 1 or 2 word answers, you probably want to start over. Spending time focusing on your ideal world dream answers, the all-important question of why you want to achieve it, then starts to give you the strength to keep going when things get in the way. So imagining yourself or visualizing yourself having already achieved that goal gives you the power, the motivation, the drive, and the understanding to start moving towards it. And have a think about what these outcomes give you or do for you, and what they satisfy within you. The next step then is that you want to start to consider moving from your heart to your head. So, we've been setting goals with the heart, which is great. But don't forget to check in with your head. Think about your goals and recognize how it makes you feel. I want to lose weight is almost meaningless as a goal. Instead, your goals should include plenty of detail. Imagine if someone else read it. Would they be able to achieve your specific desired results? Or would they end up with something completely different? So you may consider using a system such as SMART goals, without being too rigid. Use it as a means of objectively setting the goal once you've expressed the dream, and then use it as a way of helping to formulate the goal, the resolution. Goals that add up to result in your best year ever. Make sure that your goals therefore are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. But in particular, make them specific and measurable. So then you want to think about, what might get in your way? What might hold you back? When people fall short of their goals, it's often because they don't anticipate the obstacles that they're going to face. No matter how excited or determined you are about your goal, things are going to get in the way. And this could be work or family commitments, or it could be the well-hidden, ever so sneaky obstacles that are often based on fear and can be difficult to spot by yourself. Your initial optimism about goal setting carries you forward only until you hit that first challenge, and then you fall back to mediocrity. So consider potential obstacles ahead by answering, a number of questions that you can ask yourself and apply to yourself. What logistical constraints may get in the way? Which behaviors of yours could hinder your progress? What people in your life may be obstacles? What's gotten in the way before? And questions like that. We all have an inner critic that likes to kind of keep us within our comfort zone. When we start to make changes, it suddenly pipes up with phrases like "you can't," "you should," and my personal favorite, "you're not good enough." And that inner critic is often a source of self-sabotage and limiting beliefs that may have been at work for years. And it's one of the many reasons, one of the many things that's deterring you from achieving such goals and really seeing out your resolutions. And if other things hold you back from achieving those goals, then consider one of my favorite quotes. In order to say yes to your priorities, you have to be willing to say no to something else. So then you want to establish ownership of your priorities. Look over the list that you created earlier on, and while the categories that received 4s and 5s probably don't need too much of your attention, the other areas most likely do. So you might want to write down some notes about what needs to happen this year to make each of these lower scored areas the best they can possibly be. By documenting your intentions, then you're owning the outcome. So get a plan of action in mind, ready to put into place, and set about it. And then you want to set your own theme. What's the theme of your best year ever? What's that going to be? The theme that you choose that's going to help you keep motivated. It's going to help even more if you create a slogan for it too, something that really stirs your imagination. And think in images, but try to keep your slogan to just 2 or 3 words, for example. One of the greatest examples of this was Nike's "Just Do It." Do you have a flavor in mind, or something that symbolically represents your journey for the year ahead? Set up a mission statement or a slogan for yourself that's going to drive you and motivate you and connect loads of the things you've been discussing. And then it's time for action. You've identified what you want. You've identified what you want means to you and how it makes you feel. Now, what are you going to do about it? And to paraphrase astronaut Neil Armstrong, what small steps can you take towards achieving that goal? What giant leap can you take? And challenge yourself to think big when you're choosing the action steps to make the dreams a reality. And if you can't map out all of the action steps that will get you all the way to the goal, don't worry. Trust that once you take the first action or the first set of steps, that the next steps are going to become clearer along the way and begin to present themselves, and you can start to map them out accordingly. And that could mean running the extra mile, staying up a bit later, or waking up earlier. Just by pushing yourself a little bit more each day, you're sure to dramatically improve your productivity, your results, and things are going to energize you and keep you going. You know, we all have just a finite amount of willpower and decision-making ability. If you put off important or uncomfortable tasks until late in the day, you'll find that you're more likely to skip them altogether. Think of your important tasks as levels in a game. You know, when you begin the game, you have all your lives and all your hit points available to you. It's better to complete the tougher levels when you've got more resources available to you. It might seem like a trivial idea, but it's tremendously effective when you put it into practice. So you start to put your action plan into place, and then you want to be held accountable and have some accountability, as I spoke about earlier on. Find an accountability partner or group who can keep you focused on your goals. You know, research has shown that sharing your goals not only makes you more accountable, but it fills a need for social connection. The simple act of telling another person about what you want to achieve can keep you on track. And knowing that someone else cares about how you're getting on with them can give you the energy to keep going, help drive you. This step comes with a word of warning. One of the things that I mentioned a little bit previously, you know, choose your accountability people or partners very carefully. Ideally, your accountability partner is not going to be affected by your goal and therefore have no reason to add their own thoughts or opinions or agenda into the mix. They'll be supportive and positive and will encourage you towards achieving your goal. If you have such a person in your life, cherish them. Because you know that they're a rare breed. Tell them about your goal, your resolution, you know, agree when you're going to check in with them, and plan how you're both going to celebrate when you've achieved it, you know, and reward yourself accordingly. There are plenty of other ways to make yourself accountable too. You can set calendar alerts, you can set phone alerts to remind yourself, you can leave post-it notes with your goals written on them in places that you pass often. You can use notes on your phone or your screensavers. You know, do whatever it takes so that not a single day goes by without you thinking about your goals, or even make it part of your daily early morning regimen, you know, when you get up, that you review them. And then you want to review and revise. The other reason you want to be thinking about your goals regularly in these resolutions is because they're not going to be perfect, and that's just fine. As long as you review them regularly and you make changes as necessary. Imperfect goals eventually become perfect goals, which eventually become accomplished goals. And this is what's going to contribute to your best year ever. And then that final step, you know, is well done. It's congratulations. As well as keeping your eyes on the goal, it's important to pause every now and then and acknowledge how far you've come and how much you've enjoyed the journey. And it's especially important on those days when achieving your goal feels like a long way to go. And at regular points on your journey, you want to stop, look back, and give yourself a bit of a pat on the back for all of the actions that you've taken and everything that you've achieved up to this point. You may wish to reward yourself and factor in little rewards going forwards, as I mentioned previously, and it'll make the rest of your journey towards, you know, the best year ever so much easier. So there you have it, ways to make your resolutions sing, and a number of steps that count down to a great new year in order to make this your best year ever. And take your time with these steps, do it thoroughly. A year is a big chunk of your time, and you want to get things as right as possible with your resolutions. Going through these kind of formal countdown steps will make sure that the year ahead is going to be just awesome for you. So go for it. I wish you an amazing new year ahead. Do subscribe to this channel. Do go visit my college website for details of my classroom-based and online courses and resources. And I'll be back speaking to you in the new year. Bye for now.